The late 90s were a scary time. I mean, the X-Files made us afraid to look at the sky, the Undertaker committed attempted murder on national television, and even the wide open arms of Creed couldn't keep us safe from the terrors of ska punk. But for anyone who owned one of these, this period will always be known as the era where survival horror hit it big. The advent of 3D polygonal graphics gave us a level of immersion just never seen before, and for the first time you couldn't just shoot and jump your way out of trouble. Instead, you had to run, hide, and just hope the things that go bump in the night won't find you. But while franchises like Resident Evil and Silent Hill are still held in high acclaim by both fans and critics, they weren't the only players to throw their hat in the spooky ring. This is my spooky hat. This is the story of Chaos Break, the best horror game you've never played. Hey, how's it going guys? This is Tom from UDS with another edition of Nostalgia Obscura, our series where we look at the hidden gems from gaming's past and find out why they're worth another look. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit subscribe for more videos on games new and old every single week. And while you're there, considering we're looking at a scary game, why not drop a spooky skull emoji in the comments? And while we wait for the skeleton army to grow its ranks, well, let's just start the show. And I'm also going to take this hat off because I look ridiculous. I came across Chaos Break when I bought a stack of PS1 games off a friend about 8 years ago. While games like Crash Bandicoot and Metal Gear got played until I lost the discs, Chaos Break essentially gathered dust on the shelf, and I'm really not quite sure why. I remember that creepy box art having an immediate effect on me. A lone eye staring at you among a stringy maze of viscera. You know, the sort of thing you see hanging up in a sketchy Camden bar. Anyway, for years I forgot I even owned the game, until I was perusing my local secondhand game shop and saw the same eye staring back at me, only this time it had a £70 price tag printed underneath it. So naturally I immediately went on eBay to make sure this wasn't a misprint, and sure enough, mint condition copies were, and presumably still are, selling for over £100. So this got me thinking, why is Chaos Break so expensive? Is it so good it can justify a price tag over 3 times its original recommended retail price? Well, this is what I found. Chaos Break is actually a sequel to Taito's 1998 arcade exclusive Chaos Heat, so it's probably worth briefly starting here. To put it kindly, it follows the tried and tested trope of an elite group of soldiers infiltrating a hidden base full of genetically engineered monsters. Never heard that one before. But instead of survival horror, it plays more like a beat-em-up, only using guns instead of fists. Now I know that sounds like it doesn't make a lick of sense, but trust me, find a decent ROM of it somewhere online and you'll see what I mean. Fast forward to the year 2000, and not only are we only 1,000 years away from not much else changing except us living underwater, but Chaos Break, or Chaos Break Episode from Chaos Heat to give it its full title, released for the PS1. But for anyone put off by the sequel label, don't be. This is much more of a soft reboot, meaning you don't need to have played any of the original arcade game to have an idea of what's going on. So what is going on? Well, you get a heck of a lot of exposition at the start, so make sure to bring a pen and paper, but let's go over the spark notes anyway. There's been some sort of contamination in the shady Fluxus Biomaterial Industries Lab 7, catchy name, a civilian research facility set on an isolated island. When another agent goes radio silent, it's your job as either Mitsuki or Rick, our 2 heroes from the agency, to investigate and find out just what the heck has gone wrong. Depending on which character you pick, you'll follow slightly different paths but with the same rough structure. Once you're in, you'll have to fight your way through the facility, avoiding alien parasitic life forms, mutated staff members, and the laboratory's robotic security drones. As well as a cameo from the monster from the movie Tremors, which, you know, is nice. Why not? While you struggle to survive, it's all the usual affair. You'll have to find key codes, solve puzzles, and access computer terminals to piece together the story and uncover the mystery. Now on the surface, this may all sound very familiar, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, and it actually does some pretty neat things that have been picked up in modern classics. One of the main ones that stuck out to me was the addition of a dodge roll, which adds an entirely different element to gameplay. While the likes of the early Resident Evil games can be pretty slow by today's standards, Chaos Break feels much more fluid and responsive by comparison. In both games, you're meant to be playing as a well-trained special agent, but Chaos Break definitely offers a better demonstration of this. But what's less accurate is the hilariously bad voice acting. Now it might not be Jill Sandwich levels of bad, but it's not far off. Take a listen to the battle-ready, presumably well-trained super soldier Mitski chatting to her fellow agents.
Let's split up and check the place out.
Be careful.
I know already.
Yeah, if they'd been hired to save me from all manner of paranormal beasties, I'd probably start writing my will now. But much like the notorious voice acting in its contemporaries, it eventually becomes part of the charm, and adds to the whole experience. Maybe not the spooks, but definitely the charm. But the story, for the most part, is actually pretty good. My favourite games don't force narrative down your throat, rather they let you discover it organically. Think the likes of Breath of the Wild or Doom. It's there if you want it, but it's not necessary for enjoying the raw gameplay. Chaos Break is very similar, letting you piece together things through computer logs and environmental exposition. This helps you feel like you've really been dropped into an unknown situation, left to figure out what the hell is going on around you. And what you will find around you is very typical graphics for a late-era PS1 game. Things may look pretty blocky by today's standards, but the actual monster, alien, and general enemy design isn't half bad. It all has a much brighter, more saturated colour palette compared to the more subdued visuals in similar titles. I think this vibrancy means Chaos Break has aged better than a lot of others, but let me know what you think about that in the comments below. But running, hiding, and shooting isn't all you have to do. This isn't church. You also have to tackle a range of puzzles and challenges, most of which are pretty good and engaging. However, I draw the line at Sudoku. I don't want to do a maths puzzle in the middle of my survival horror game. I've filed lawsuits for less. When Chaos Break first released, it pretty much got panned by critics across the board. It got called clunky, outdated, and a rip-off of Resident Evil, and I just think this is all hugely unfair. Sure, it may not be the most revolutionary game ever created, but it did innovate on what came before, and the gripes about bugs can be applied to a lot of other games from the time. Are you telling me that Resident Evil or Silent Hill aren't without the odd technical glitch? The case won't even stay together, let alone the game. Look, all I'm saying is that Chaos Break has been unfairly forgotten, and should stand pride of place among its peers. Is it worth £70? Probably not, but honestly there are very few games I would spend that much on. But if you are able to find a copy, whether it be online or at a reasonable price in your local retro shop, I implore you to pick it up. If for no other reason than that amazing box art. And that's a wrap on our look at Chaos Break. Have you played it before? Are you planning on checking it out now? Please let me know the answer to everything in the comments below. I genuinely love reading your thoughts. And while you're there, please do subscribe for more videos on games new and old every single week. And also don't be afraid to say hi on the socials. We're always checking them, so if you have a suggestion of something you'd like featured, or you just want to say hey, or maybe tell me to get the hair out of my mouth, don't be a stranger. Anyway, my name's been Tom, we've been UDS, this has been Nostalgia Obscura, and we will see you next time.